Hello everyone, it's me Clayton. I just finished watching The Jungle Cruise movie, starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Emily Blunt, Paul Giamatti, Eddie Ramirez, and Jack Whitehall. Now, when it comes to Disney movies that are based off popular rides, there aren't as many as some would think there are, but the ones that are there certainly range in quality. You've got great ones like the first two Pirates of the Caribbean movies. You've got terrible ones like The Haunted Mansion, starring Eddie Murphy, and you've got ones that are more in the middle, such as Tomorrowland, directed by Brad Bird. When it comes to The Jungle Cruise, I definitely think it's in the middle, as in it's got some really impressive stuff with a lot of fun adventurous moments, but some slapdash CGI and some parts of the movie that don't ultimately work do keep the journey from being truly legendary. But let's get to the story, shall we? The story here concerns a botanist by the name of Lily Houghton, played by Emily Blunt. She wants to find this thing called the Tears of the Moon that apparently is a tree that has these petals that can heal any injury, which would be invaluable when it comes to modern medicine. So she heads to the Amazon rainforest after finding the thing that she needs in order to access said tree, where she comes across Frank Wolf, played by Dwayne Johnson. He's a skipper for a local jungle cruise, who, after the two of them meet, along with Emily Blunt's bumbling brother, played by Jack Whitehall, they eventually have to work together in order to brave the Amazon River, find the Tears of the Moon, and come across a variety of colorful characters along the way. But that's all I'll say about the story. The story here is basically what you'd expect when you think of the words Jungle Cruise movie. It's a classic Amazon forest adventure and river adventure, and almost has elements of Indiana Jones when it comes to its more supernatural elements and its overall fun sense of adventure when it comes to the unknown. And in that respect, the overall tone of the film is pretty entertaining, especially considering that Dwayne Johnson really does well as the sarcastic skipper Frank, and Emily Blunt has great chemistry with him, with her more sardonic tone, and when it comes to how she and Frank interact. Also, Frank Whitehall does do a pretty good job, Jack Whitehall does a pretty good job bouncing off the two when it comes to him playing Lily's brother. He's kind of a bit of a wimp, but he does toughen up throughout the film, and he does have some fairly funny lines. I also like the fact that it goes completely all out when it comes to the classic adventure film sort of formula, to the point where it has a German villain, despite it taking place in 1916, and the fact that the supernatural villains are essentially undead conquistadors. And it's about as ridiculous as you'd expect with that kind of setup. And granted, they're not from the ride, but it does fit the tone of the film when it comes down to it. However, I will say the humor and action scenes are a bit of a mixed bag. Some of the action, especially the action scenes in the opening of the film, and when it comes to the humor from Dwayne Johnson's skipper, they're generally pretty funny, and the action scenes are pretty entertaining. But later action scenes are filled with a little too much CGI for my liking. And it's not that the CGI is terrible, it just feels like some of it really isn't necessary. And some of the humor involving some of the other characters isn't as strong. There weren't a lot of moments that visibly made me cringe, but there weren't a ton of other ones that reach Dwayne Johnson's level, if you know what I mean. On top of that, the film is about 2 hours long, and it does feel like some scenes could have been cut for time. It's not excruciating to watch, but it does feel that there is a bit of a pacing issue in the midway point. But the opening of the film is great, the ending of the film is great, and while it's absolutely not going to be a classic by any means, I do think it's a fun little distraction, just like the ride that the movie's based on. Because of that, I'm going to give Jungle Cruise a 7.5 out of 10. See you next time.